Welcome to Cross Yoga and this beginner's class. This is for you if you are new or somewhat new to yoga and you'd like to get more familiar with the postures and what in the whole world this cross yoga thing is. If you want to skip the introductions, you can jump a few minutes ahead and do the actual practice. But I just want to give you some basic introductions. If you're new to yoga, of course there are postures that might be like, what am I doing with my body? But just hang on. I will guide you through the postures nice and slow and also offer alternatives if you feel it's too hard or if you have injuries. A real lifesaver, if you know that you're stiff in your body and you have a hard time moving a lot, those blocks, it can be big books or water bottles, but something that gives you support when you lean forward. So not something soft. Some blocks is a game changer if you're stiff in your body. Then a yoga mat. If you do use like a sleeping mat or something, a thicker exercise mat, it might give in the long way like this and it might make you very unstable. So an actual yoga mat is really good. So it's typically 5 millimeters thick, quite thin actually. And if you want some extra padding for your knees, when we come on our knees, you might want to bring a blanket or something instead of a thick mat. So don't use the thick mat just because you want to take care of your knees. It might not work if you feel like you're gliding apart when you're doing downward facing dog. Yoga and also cross yoga typically begin with a little bit of breathing. It's like the first course in a bigger meal, right? To calm the nervous system, relax everything. And in cross yoga, that's also where typically we set our intention on God and the things that are larger than ourselves. Everybody, of course, is welcome to join cross yoga. Then typically we warm up the spine. We do movements and towards the end we stretch and then there's rest. So this is a typical recipe for most yoga classes at least. And today I'll guide you through a slow class, which means that we have more time in each posture, and that's also why it's great for newbies to join this class. So if you're ready, you might take your blocks if you happen to have them and sit up tall. If you can't sit like I am, you find another way of sitting. It doesn't really matter if you're sitting correctly. There is no correct. Maybe I should add that as well. In yoga in general, it's really about just moving, sensing your body. Don't think you have to look like me in the shape. You do you. I think that's the beauty also, finding rest and peace on the mat in God's presence. So whenever you've found a seat, let's begin. Close your eyes. Tall spine. Your hands can be resting on your thighs. If possible, breathe in and out through your nose. And take your time to breathe. The deep, slow breath is where we want to try to go in this breathing to begin with. And with your eyes closed, or if you prefer open, picture the mat underneath your sitting bones or your feet. And I'll invite you to think of your mat as a sanctuary, as a holy, chosen space where you can be free, where God is raining His grace and love upon you. Where we can sigh out and let go, surrender. both our busyness, maybe worries, but also our pride and our selfishness. So you can listen along or pray as you like with me. God, purify our hearts. Cleanse our minds to be and do what you have called us to do. I surrender my will, my worries, my life into the path of love that leads to you. And let's maybe open our eyes. You're welcome to keep your eyes closed. It's not super difficult what we're going to do. You're going to do seated, called cat-cow. So move your spine back, round your shoulders to the front, chin towards the chest. And then opposite direction. Maybe you bring your nose up, bring the shoulder blades together at the back, this kind of arch in the back. Move with the breath if you can coordinate that. Exhale as you round. Inhale as you do what is called the cow posture. Keep moving as I share the next point. When we are doing cross yoga on the mat, we are not doing what I would call prayer in motion. It's not the idea that you have a prayer or even think about spiritual things in every single posture. Think about the moving, almost like you are practicing singing a song, right? Movement in itself, I believe, is also a holy and a sacred thing. And also because we're moving here on the mat, I believe in God's loving grace. So take your time, breathe, calm your mind. Slowly get out of that seated position. You can bring your legs to the front. You might feel a bit sore from getting seated that long. You might not be used to it. And then slowly move around into your tabletop. Again, you can use that padding underneath your knees if you like that. Just bring the blocks maybe to the front of your mat. So you're standing in tabletop, the long end of the mat. Hands underneath the shoulders. You're welcome to circle the wrists a little bit. Micro bend the elbows. And we're going to do a few spinal twists. So you stay where you are, but bring the right arm up towards the sky, being gentle. And then the right hand underneath your shoulder girdle and down towards the floor. You might not reach the floor. As we warm up, we'll try to do it a little bit quicker. So maybe you coordinate with an inhale, right arm up to some degree. And exhale, bring it down. Inhale, rise. And exhale, bring it down. Beautiful. you might start to feel something in your left arm because that one is actually moving quite a lot last time. And bring both hands down opposite side. And as you might have noticed, I'm mirroring you. So I'll do the same side as you when I'm standing like this. Inhale, and then bring your left arm down like you're threading a needle. Inhale, bring the arm up. Exhale down. Now, if this pace is too slow or too quick, you just do you, okay? I am not your boss. I'm more like a guide suggesting what works for your body. Bring yourself into tabletop. Tuck the toes under like I'm doing here. And then firm the grip down, the fingers on the mat. Spread out the fingers if you haven't already. And slowly lift the hip up and back. And this one is called downward facing dog. I'll go back to it a little bit more. But for now, just move your hip, your legs. You're in this triangled shape, not a plank. Bring the shoulders away from the ears. You most likely have them tucked up towards the ears. So you're kind of carrying your body weight in the shoulders behind the middle part of the spine rather than top shoulder. Awesome. Then bring your legs, your feet to the top end of the mat. Bend your knees so you're comfortable in your forward fold. I'd rather have you like this than having you stretch your legs and then being like this. Okay, bend your knees, soften everything, even your neck. If you take a look at the distance in between your feet, it might be like 2 fists distance or maybe even a little bit more. And then slowly come into what we call mountain pose. That is simply just standing. But mountain pose typically is hands or palms facing forward. So we have this opening in our shoulder girdles. So we're not practicing this posture, but this one, standing tall, standing strong on this foundation, right? How beautiful is that? Grounded in God's love. Then circle arms. Slowly bring the arms out to the side for a big circle. Let the palms meet on the top of your head and bring them down into prayer. Doing that the opposite direction. So palms together, bring them up overhead and out to the side. Moving a few times with the breath as we do this. So palms facing up, inhale. Keep inhaling. Exhale and palms together in front of your heart. Inhale, palms up. Exhale, arms out. 2 more times. You might do it a little bit quicker than me. Inhale. Palms together. Softening your knees one last time. Big movements without overdoing it. I see a lot of people who are starting with yoga that gets like stiff because they want to do it right, but just soften everything. This is a soft practice, even though you might get sweaty, right? So don't get stiff and tense up. That is not actually what we want to do. Next time your arms are down by the side, find a chair pose. You see why it calls chair pose. It's like we're sitting on an imaginary chair. Bring your arms to the front, shoulders back and down. I'm going to stay here and breathe. And you might take a look at your knees and your toes. They are in the same direction, right? So you're not like this. with knees in or whatever we might sometimes do. If you don't feel your thighs by now, you might sit a little bit lower. It's really up to you. And then bring your hands down on your thighs. Slowly bring your belly towards the thighs and move into a forward fold. Now, I didn't share with you before that you can definitely use your blocks here if you feel like it, but I'm like, why not just bend your knees? But of course you can come up and support yourself here with hands on blocks as well. You might feel a stretch on the back of your legs, especially if you're extending your legs to some degree. Warrior 2. Bring the left leg back or foot back. It can be a little bit, but go a little bit longer, maybe a couple of feet back. Pivot the left foot so it at the outer edge there aligns with the short end of the mat. Then slowly see if you can get this front heel to kind of align with the arch of the back foot. So if you're like all the way out here, you might bring it somewhat in that line. After that, slowly rise up, checking in that your hip follows the long end of the mat. That goes for your shoulders as well, so you're not halfway. And actually your arms as well, they come out aligned with the floor. This is Warrior 2. Then we can adjust few things, but take a breath before we do that. And soften everything, even your elbows, your fingers. And then you might gaze to the front and check that the front knee is not dropping in. Try to keep it somewhat over the ankle. And let's breathe just a little bit here. Triangle. Your feet stays, but you're going to extend the front leg. And this hip kind of then tilts maybe forward as you bring those arms a little bit forward. Take a hold of your thigh as you lean forward. So this can be your triangle. The legs are in a triangle. That's why the name. If you're like, yeah, I can go a little bit lower, do that. If you're a little bit unsure what's happening, you don't want to move your buttocks out like this. We want to try to keep the body so much as possible in one line as we can. Keep breathing. You might feel a stretch in the core here. You might feel it on the back of your front thigh. Beautiful. Let's release that. Bring both hands down on the floor. Take the back heel off so you take care of your knees. And then step back. You might move your blocks if they're where I put them. And then bring yourself back into that downward facing dog where your hip is up and back. Spread out your fingers, micro bend the shoulders. And bring the shoulder blades back so you feel something happen in the middle of your spine. Soften those knees. You don't pull or force your heels down in the mat. I'd rather have you have a straight spine. And this might be a posture that you get sweaty and you feel you come a little bit out of breath. But don't you worry, if you continue, you'll get used to this. One more breath. Come to the front of your mat. Again, get those feet somewhat apart. Soften your knees and then roll up vertebrae by vertebrae into that mountain pose standing posture at the top end of your mat. You might feel a little bit uneven left to right side of the body, which is perfectly fine. I have not forgotten the other side. We just work like this typically in yoga, that we do a few postures on one side and then we repeat it on the other side. So now it's time for you to bring your right foot back. Same thing as before. Align it with the short end of the mat. You stay where you are. I'm just gonna turn. Your back foot aligned with the short end of the mat. Hip long end, shoulder long end. Bring this front knee, you might even kind of guide it forward over the ankle. Notice if you're leaning forward and bring the spine up so it's like really tall up towards the sky, arms out. Awesome. Soften everything. And enjoy this. Maybe you gaze over the front hand. If you feel a bigger challenge, you can always go further distance in between the feet, shorter if it's too much. This triangle shape, extend the front leg, stay in line, hip stays there, aligned with this heel arch line I talked about before. Back hand reaches up towards the sky as you lean forward to the degree that makes sense for your body. Don't reach the floor because you have seen pictures of people doing that. But you might go underneath the knee if you feel like it. Engage the core if you can. So you have this activation, so you're not just hanging here. And that might be the biggest game changer in yoga. If you want it like not really working, you can kind of just hang, not do a lot of things. But if you want to get a little bit sweaty, you want to get stronger, it's about activating, just turning on without holding on vigorously. All right, lift up. Take the hands down on the floor, step the left foot back and downward facing dog. Yes, that one more time. I want you to get familiar with it. Take 2 breaths and then I'll show you maybe a favorite pose. Bring your knees down on the mat. And maybe you want to get the knees mat width distance. Now my mat is probably bigger than yours, so I won't get it to the edge of the mat, but at least some distance. Child's pose. So slowly bring the hip back towards the heels to the degree that you can. Your forehead might reach the mat, maybe not. So find some sort of resting in this posture. And if it hurts your knees, do something else. Don't do this because you have to. Breathe deeply. And this is a posture, in my opinion, of prayer and surrender. Maybe even receiving. So is there something that you want to pray to God about that you are longing for? Take a moment, just a short prayer. God hears short prayers too. Bring the palms down towards the mat and slowly rise. Often you can get into a downward facing dog, but just to walk your feet to the top of the mat once again and coming into mountain pose when you're ready. Often in yoga, we do balance postures. For some, it's super challenging and difficult. For some of us, it's that and a little bit of fun as well. So I hope it becomes a fun thing because we benefit so much from balancing. So let's try to do that. Your blocks can be helpful. You can bring them here. You can also have the seat of a chair if that works better for you, and simply just hold on to the seat. You kind of come down into a forward fold, but with a straight spine as best as you can. Let's start with the right leg this time. Lift the leg up. It can be here, or if you can, just a little bit higher with the toes pointing down. You're not rounding. Extend the spine, belly button in. Long neck as well. If you feel then adventurous, you might let go of the seat or the blocks and bring the arms out to the side. And it's okay if you're wobbly, you need to get a hold of the block again. Just do the best you can. Breathe. One more breath. You can do it. And then both hands down so you're safe as you lower down the right foot somewhere to the back end of the mat. And then you might adjust your stance, however it makes sense. High lunge. Your feet are not on one rope, but more on train tracks. Kind of. And then you lift up. High lunge, another classic yoga posture. Front knee, somewhat over ankle. Back leg extended to the degree that you can. This is a balance posture also, without standing on one leg though. So if you can bring your arms up towards the sky, and this would be a traditional high lunge. Taking our time to breathe and adjust and feel the legs maybe start to shake. Belly breath, come on. And we're trying to get out of this. Hands on floor, wherever you want to reach. Step to the front. You can shake your legs. Almost there. Bring the left foot back and lift it up. Again, maybe aligned with the floor, maybe a little bit lower. Go for the straight spine. Strong breath, maybe letting go of the seat or the blocks. Gaze on the floor, don't look at the screen. You want to keep your gaze on the floor whenever you are struggling with your balance. Okay, remember that, that's pretty important. Letting go. Lower down the left foot to the back end of the mat. High lunge, those feet on train tracks. You can always go shorter, easier, longer, much harder. The hip is what we call closed. So the hip is aligned with the short end of the mat, most likely. And if you have balance, bring arms up overhead. So the challenging thing with yoga is that we get ourselves into maybe postures that are challenging our muscles, but we're still trying to breathe somewhat deep. All right, both hands down. Actually, you can just get your left knee down. Right knee follows, and then take a seat on the mat in whatever direction that makes sense. Sit down with legs out to the side. For some, sitting like this, no problem. For some of us, we might be like this, right? If this is you, you can fold the mat because that helps you elevate the hip a little bit, so you might sit more tall so you're not crunching in like this. And you might take a blanket or even those blocks underneath your knee joints to just support yourself in a more relaxed position. But we're just going to lean forward if that is at all possible for you to stretch the inner thigh and the hamstrings. Maybe you feel it in your lower back as well. So this is it. As you have maybe realized, we are in the more stretching part now, trying to wrap up the class. Gonna stretch our neck muscles a little bit. So find some sort of comfortable seated position. That can be on your blocks, and you can even sit on a chair if you prefer. Do a few shoulder rolls. And then bring your left arm up overhead and not pulling, just gently guide your head in the direction to the left. And maybe this right hand, you bring it down on the floor. My preference is behind the back, feeling some sort of stretch on the neck at the side. And release, go to the other side. So we're not forcing a stretch, especially with the neck. To benefit from stretching, you want to go slow and not to your max, because typically that would mean that you tense up. And then you won't get the benefit from the stretches. So you need to go only to the extent that you feel like, yes, I can relax here. I'm not in pain. I might feel it. It might be not comfortable, but I'm not in pain. Put the head back up. Always welcome to circle the shoulders. Now we're gonna come down on the back. And do the last stretch. It won't be there that long. You can always use blocks underneath the knee or whatever you feel like. But you can bring your legs up into a tabletop position and then bring them to the left side. All the way out to the left side. So your hip is stacked like this. You might know this stretch from other fitness classes or something. Just showing you what you can do with blocks. This top arm out opposite. Lots of things that can maybe help you in a nice stretch or deeper stretch. You'll cross the leg. And receive the deep breaths. Move slowly back on your back and do the same stretch, maybe with props on the other side. I hope that by now that you sense that you might be more calm in your body. And maybe not only in your body, but also in your mind. When we are moving on the mat, breathing deeply, focusing on our body and that sensation and where am I going, we give our busy, stressed brain maybe a pause. And that is often so beneficial, especially because then you might feel that you're more quiet in your mind for prayer or for listening. This is also why I don't find it necessary to have a prayer or scripture or so included in every posture, simply because it's a tool to quiet our minds and listen and love God and ourselves. Then we finish with rest, which is simply coming onto your back, supine. Extend your legs out. I'm going to show you what we typically do, and then you always adjust if there's anything you need to adjust. So you're resting comfortably. Your hands, arms will be down on the floor, and then listen up, palms facing up. Right? So you have this opening in your shoulders. Then you might notice where your neck is going. If it's like this, you probably will feel neck pain. So I'll encourage you to bring your chin somewhat towards the chest, or even a pillow or a blanket or something behind your head if you prefer. Can also be under your knee joint. And then it's just resting. Close your eyes if that feels good. And soften everything. And you might say, I don't know if you know the story from the Old Testament, this young guy that said, Lord, here I am. Breathe. Open your heart for God's powerful love. I will finish this video now, but you might want to stay down on the mat a little bit longer because it just feels so good. But if you're ready to take a seat, don't do it yet. Wiggle your fingers and your ankles. So we take our time. We don't want to calm everything down and then jump up. We want to stay in this hopefully calm mood. You can bring your legs in for a little bit of a hug or stretch or yawn. And then slowly take a seat. I'm so glad that you joined this class and try to maybe try cross yoga for the first time. You're welcome to like this video, save it in that way, and maybe even write a comment and share it with a friend that might want to try this but haven't, maybe feel a little bit uncomfortable with just, jumping into a traditional class. So make sure you share it with a friend if you know somebody who would like to be interested. Thank you from my heart to yours, and God's peace on your path.